Welcome back, Awakening Beauties. This is part 5 of my 5-part series about my experience and journey with semaglutide, which is Ozempic, Wegovy, Manjaro, all of those new weight loss drugs that are all over the internet, and you've probably heard of them. You probably know people that are on them. If you haven't watched the first 4 parts of this series, I encourage you to maybe go back and watch that to see, why I decided to try it, what fears I had about it, how I seemed to be doing really good on the first few weeks of a microdose, but then things took a very dramatic turn when we titrated up. So in this part, we'll get into how the rest of that 11 weeks, it ended up being about 11 weeks that I was on a compounded semaglutide. So this part was filmed on June the 1st, which was just a few days before I left for my trip to Peru. These were my thoughts at the time. I've definitely had more insights into myself and everything since then, now that we're like a month and a half since I filmed that part. So here is part 5 of my semaglutide journey. I just want to say that I am not an expert at this. I am not a healthcare provider. I am not giving you medical advice. I am just merely sharing my story of my very brief semaglutide journey. So with that said, let me just get into the most current status of where I'm at with that journey. So you've seen the first 3 videos that I made, and I sort of wish I may have made one other video after the last video, because I just rewatched them to see what did I say. But there probably wasn't a lot more to say about that. I just want to start by saying I have come off of semaglutide. What I found out was that I am very sensitive to semaglutide, and for 3 months that I was on it, and what ended up happening was that shortly after I made that last video is when I got sick with the flu. And after talking with my doctor, we decided that I needed to wait another half a week to take another dosage, and we decided to go down to 2 units, which is such a tiny amount. So I went down to 2 units. It would have been May 7th that I went down to 2 units, and I couldn't believe that I felt as badly as I did just on 2 units, because by the time I took it, it was pretty much out of my system, and I was just trying to recover from having had the flu. And what became a new symptom that I was maybe feeling a little bit up until then, but then it really kicked down, was just horrible indigestion. My stomach was always burning. I just always felt uncomfortable. And even on the 2 units, it wasn't as bad on the 2 units, but some of the other benefits of really curbing my appetite the way that it had before wasn't quite as noticeable. It was there, and especially since I had been sick and with the flu, and I had lost my appetite anyways. So I took the 2 units, and then a week later, I went up to 4 units, which was still less than my initial microdose of 5 units, which 5 units was 0.25 milligrams. And it just became so clear to me that week of, it was May 14th, I think, that I took the 4 units, that this was just not going to be for me, because the fatigue never subsided. I was so exhausted, like I talked about in my last video. This was almost 3 months of nearly debilitating fatigue. It was very hard for me to get through my day at work, and then I would come home and just crash. So after I took the 4 units and was having the terrible indigestion still, and just a feeling like, another sensation of feeling like you need to burp all the time, because your stomach is slowing the gastric emptying, and that's what's keeping you feeling full. But that feeling started to become, to me, an uncomfortable feeling of
just feeling like I always had something coming up, like nothing was coming up. I was having indigestion, so maybe a little acid reflux, but just that uncomfortable sensation coupled with the extreme fatigue that I had experienced, I just decided that I needed to come off of it altogether. So that's what I did. And then I decided in that week that I would start Dr. Mark Hyman's 10-day detox that I had done last year. And in that 11 weeks that I was on semaglutide, I only lost 2 pounds. Those first 2 pounds that I lost in the first 2 weeks. I was following the nutritional recommendation as given to me by the nutritionist. I was struggling to get that 90 to 100 grams of protein. I was having no sugar. I was having no gluten. I was having no dairy, and nothing was happening. The weight was not coming off. It just didn't seem worth it to me to continue, especially since I knew that I only had like 3 weeks before I leave for my trip to Peru, which I'm leaving. I'm leaving this week. So I know all these videos that I've been filming are going to go up after I get back from Peru and I can edit them and get them up. But I needed to feel better before I go on my trip. So the best thing I thought I could do was to start the 10-day detox and see if I could get my energy back. So I started that on Monday, the 19th of May. And for the first 4 days, it was really tough because I had not come off of caffeine. So on his program, you have to come off of all caffeine and all forms of sugar. You're allowed a little bit of berries with your smoothie, but that's it. So I started that, followed it to a T, had a headache the first 4 days, was exhausted the first 4 days, but I was already exhausted, so that was nothing new. And on the fifth day, lo and behold, I woke up with energy. It was such a different sensation for me to actually wake up with energy. So then I started walking, and I started walking in the morning and at night. And I was getting on my Cellerciser, my mini trampoline. And I got to tell you, I'm feeling great. Now I am almost 2 weeks from that and feeling really phenomenal. I have lost 3 pounds. I only lost 2 pounds doing semaglutide in 3 months. And in a week and a half, I lost 3 pounds, which tells me it's a lot of inflammation that's preventing me from losing weight. I still need to get my hormones checked. I spoke to the naturopath and she said that we could try trizepatide, which has a different function than semaglutide. But my thoughts on it are this is not going to be for me. Unfortunately, I was really hopeful that it would work. If you watched my previous videos, there was a lot of fear going into it. I can truly say, though, that I never expected to have the symptoms that I ended up having while on it. And that was very surprising to me that I felt so poorly while on it. I talked in a previous video about my experience with my OBGYN and how she refused to order tests for a hormone panel. The other thing that she said sort of flippantly was that, well, hormones won't make you lose weight. And although that really doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because part of the reason why you're able to maintain a healthier weight while you're younger is because of your hormones. Hormones control everything. But the other part of that is, okay, maybe the actual hormone isn't the function that's going to cause me to lose weight, but having energy and feeling good and wanting to exercise and wanting to go to the gym and work out and having the energy to do all of that is actually going to help me lose weight. It will have a benefit. Maybe it's not a direct benefit, but it's an indirect benefit amongst all the other benefits that I could have been having all these years from taking hormone replacement therapy. So would I recommend semaglutide for any of my friends or family that came to me asking for advice? I would say, I don't know, because It didn't work for me, but that doesn't mean it won't work for you. Everybody is different. And if you're in a situation the way I feel like I am, and so many other women, especially women who are postmenopausal, where it becomes so difficult to lose weight, and you feel like that by not losing weight, your health is really suffering, then it's worth a try. That's what I truly believe. It is worth a try to see if it'll work for you. I'm not sure that it's a permanent solution though, and that is yet to be seen of how long people are able to stay on this medication and if they can come off of it and have successfully set up healthy habits in their life to maintain their weight loss. That's all yet to be known, and everybody is different. So I talked about a friend of mine who's had really great success with it, and she feels amazing and has had none of these kind of symptoms. So everyone is different, and I really couldn't give you any advice other than do your research, talk to your doctor, and if you try it and it works for you, fantastic. But just be prepared that this is not a magic bullet, it's not a magic pill, that it may not work for you. It may cause side effects that are too severe for you to want to continue using it. So set your expectations that it may not work for you. And am I disappointed that it didn't work for me? I'm disappointed at the money I've spent. And I think I was a bit disappointed that it didn't work for me. But there's also another side to this, that I know the things to do to take care of my health and that will help me feel better. And whether those will lead to the weight that I really should lose, I'm not sure. But I almost feel a bit more empowered now, taking my health into my own hands has been feeling a little more empowering, that I do think I can figure this out without medication, and I do think that I can make the healthy lifestyle changes and keep them, because I know how good I feel when I eliminate certain things from my diet. And ultimately, I want to feel good. Yes, I do need to lose weight. I am considered overweight. Yes, it's pretty obvious when you look at me that I'm overweight. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm recommitted to my health, and I'm so happy that I have energy again, that I'm feeling better, and that I did this. That I really did do it through following a program and eliminating the things that are inflammatory. So that feels really good. And like I said, that feels empowering. But everybody has their own journey, and I don't judge anybody for anything that they're trying to do to care for their health, especially when you've tried so many different things. You're almost willing to try anything that'll work. So I hope that helps. And my goal was not to scare anybody off from trying Ozempic, Mounjaro, or any of the semaglutides, but also to understand that this may not go as you had planned for it to go if you decide to go on it, and to be prepared for that.
So I find it very interesting, and I thought I had said this in those early vlogs, but one of my fears was also that this medicine wouldn't work for me, and which is ultimately what ended up happening, that it just didn't work for my system, my very sensitive system. Will it work for you? I don't know. And I couldn't recommend it or not recommend it for someone, because I know there's a lot of people who have gained really good benefits. And then even since I filmed that a month and a half ago, I've heard even more things about positive effects, positive things that are happening with this, and also negative things that are happening with people being on these drugs. I think we're kind of too early in the process to know really the long-term effects, positive or negative. I think there's a lot to still learn about these drugs, these GLP-1s, and some of the information is very exciting and some of it is kind of scary. And for me, I'm actually glad that I got off of it. I'm glad it actually didn't work for me, because I'm a little too concerned about some of the negative side effects that I'm hearing about, that I'm sort of glad now that my body told me very quickly, this is not good for you, for me, and that I need to get off of them. And, like I said in that video, am I disappointed? In a way, I was definitely feeling some disappointment about it, but now I don't. I had a very beautiful experience in my retreat down in Peru, where I really listened to my body and feel like I received some messages from my body about how to care for it, and I've started implementing those things since I've been back. I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really good, and I actually dropped some weight even since then. Since last year, when I was sort of at my highest weight, when I when I filmed my very tearful video about needing to change, I have dropped about 15 pounds total since then. So I'm happy about that. And right now I'm sort of at a plateau, and that's fine. I'm exercising, I'm weightlifting, and feeling really good, and just enjoying feeling the strength in my body and honoring that, and trying not to overdo it and to make sure I don't injure myself, and eating healthy and trying to get that protein that everybody tells you need to get your protein. My whole life is centered around trying to find protein in my diet, but it's all good. It's all good. And I have, like I said, I've gained a lot more insights about myself and about listening to my body. I hope to share some of that in the future, and I think it would be of value to other people. But I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna save that for maybe a future video. Well, I thank you so much for your time, and if you've watched all of these videos, and those of you that regularly comment, you just don't know how grateful I am and how much it means to me every time I click on and I see that you've commented. I thank you so much. Well, that about does it for me. Don't forget to give this a like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and hit that notification bell so you know right when I upload. And until next time, in case nobody's told you this recently, I know you're working hard and you're just doing your best and you're out there hustling, and I think you're doing great.